Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, Pokemaniacs. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with more of the Pokemon Adventures manga, where previously we had the showdown between N and Alder, with N looking to take down the champion so that his ideology might sweep across Unova. And while N has Zekrom firmly under his command, he doesn't use Zekrom at all. No. He goes in with his usual partner Pokemon, defeating Alder. Who should arrive on the scene to see this? Black, Iris, White, and both father and daughter Juniper. Reshiram tries to escape the Lightstone to go after Zekrom, but it's only something that happens momentarily, showing N that Black has the Lightstone. White, having trained up, is finally able to empathize with the idea that Gigi might want to battle, and allows Gigi, who actually was a part of taking Alder down, to do whatever she chooses. But as N tries to connect to White, Black takes offense to this, trying to face off with N. But as his Pokemon recoil from N's presence, N starts to get inside of Black's head, and when Black tries to call upon his Muna Musha, Musha has a distaste for the fear running through Black's mind, and slowly drifts off into the distance, and telling Black that his partnership with his Pokemon are completely surface level, especially Musha, who just saw him as a free meal. While Cedric tries to go after N in order to find the whereabouts of their castle, in the scuffle, the third Pokédex that was supposed to go to Charon is destroyed by N's Pokemon. Black passes out from the overload, and well, we're left to question what will happen next. So join me as I find out. Oh shit. Alright, we enter into what is technically the 50th volume of the Pokemon Adventures manga, or Pokemon Special, the Black and White arc. Though volume 8, on terms of that, got White on the cover and all of her Pokemon. Is this telling us that she's eventually gonna get Zekrom to ally with her? Or is that just for the sake of the connecting cover with the next volume? Could go either way, honestly. Well, let's jump in. Grimsley and Marshall. Okay. And it still gets me that that third Pokedex was destroyed, and White is technically a Pokedex holder. Technically. Oh, Caldo. Okay. Huh. It's interesting. The Who's That Pokemon for this is Gothitelle, but I guess because its pre-evolution was on the last one that we had seen. Okay, I guess that makes a good deal of sense. I wonder how it'll factor into this story, as it's adventure number 51, Dream a Little Dream. I believe that's a song. Well, I think most titles are a song, actually. Oh, and we see the opening of the Pokemon League. Dang. Fanfare and crowds gather. I think, is it either someone reading off someone, or is an announcer saying, "The exploding fireworks announce the beginning of the feast. The people gathering for the event look like grains of sand from above, but each of them is filled with a burning ambition." Oh, okay, no, Chantal's watching from high above. Is that her Pokemon? Golurk. Oh, okay. Huh. Yeah, she's flying overhead on her Golurk, writing this down saying, "It's an arena of dreams, and that's what this day in Unova has been like in this reporter's experience." What do you think, Grimsley? Grimsley, who's in the other hand of Golurk with his Bisharp, says, "Not bad at all." Chantal says, "That's what I think. The beginning is so important." Grimsley then says, "But Chantal, we can't make our final judgment until we read the last line. The first thing you have to do is complete the story." That's actually a fairly good point. Chantal pouts nonetheless. Grimsley, then with a worried look, then says, "And that goes for him too." Chantal says, sadly, "I heard Alder was defeated in an outdoor battle against the King of Team Plasma. I can't believe that." And apparently I've been told that Alder doesn't really factor into the story until Black 2 and White 2. It's like, wait, what? That's kind of a bummer. And I will admit, we haven't really had a situation where a champion was kind of defeated so soundly before the end of the story like this, but I don't know. It feels weird that he wouldn't factor into the story up until the end. But as Golurk lands, Grimsley says, and he disappeared after that. But the Pokemon League is being held without its champion. Enter Caitlin and her. I will admit, I kind of vibe with the look. So putting Gothitelle in there, I don't know. It's kind of cute, and it does kind of work for Caitlin. As Caitlin descends the stairs of the Pokemon League, she says, this would have happened sooner or later anyway. He told us he wanted the freedom to roam the world on his own. That the Elite Four could handle the Pokemon League in his place. Okay, so yeah, see, that's why I did kind of question whether or not Alder had maybe wanted to lose. I don't think he actually took a dive. I kind of talked that over with Steven on Patreon, but I don't think he took a dive. It's more so that he probably felt relief after losing. He saw an opportunity and he kind of took it. I don't think he would have minded taking N down a peg, but I don't think he's too bummed about his loss. I don't think. Or maybe he would have liked to have lost to someone a little bit more, less culty. It's hard to tell how much older Caitlin is here, too. I think bare minimum it's been about 2 years. Chantal calls out to Caitlin in shock, but Caitlin simply says, but I'm worried about how the defeat of the champion is affecting the people of Unova. Grimsley ponders this, saying, I agree. The number of spectators has decreased significantly from previous year. Chantal then notes, Team Plasma is trying to persuade everyone to their way of thinking. With flyers and lectures, it's been a huge increase in the number of people who have released their Pokemon into the wild in the past week, and these people don't want to watch the Pokemon League. Grimsley shrugs, saying, regardless, even though the date of the Pokemon League has been moved up, and Team Plasma's movement is gaining momentum, we of the Elite Four have only one job to do. Elite Four member Chantal, type expertise Ghost, job novelist. Chantal says, and that is to participate in the Pokemon League as always. Elite Four member Grimsley, type expertise Dark, job gambler. Don't say that in most versions. Grimsley says, face the challengers in a Pokemon battle. Elite Four member Caitlin, type expertise Psychic, job? Question mark. Being fabulous, that's her expertise. As Caitlin says, overwhelm them with our skills. But then Marshall interrupts him, questioning, is that really what you want? Elite Four member Marshall, type expertise Fighting, job martial artist. Marshall says angrily, I would have thought the same under normal circumstances. But Team Plasma has involved themselves in our business, and I would like to clarify the Elite Four's position once and for all. Obviously, I oppose Team Plasma, and we will find out where they're hiding and bring an end to their schemes no matter what. But Caitlin says, myself, I have no interest in feuds like this. They have the freedom to express their beliefs. Grimsley then says, and I'll only deal with trouble that comes to me. That's my lifestyle, and at the moment, no one is harming me personally. That's unfortunate. Wow. Some of the most blasé members of the Elite Four ever. Marshall then questions, what about you, Chantal? But Chantal is all giddy, saying, a decisive battle between Team Plasma and the Elite Four. That sounds like a great subject for a novel. Marshall is bowled over by this, and he thinks to himself, I can't believe it. How can our attitudes be so different? Don't you see the danger before us? Especially since my master Alder is involved. Yep, sure enough, just like I thought, Marshall remembers Alder's parting words saying, I was defeated, so I won't be needed at the Pokemon League. The rest of you can deal with the tournament. I figured as much. God damn it. Oh, the Unova region. Yeah, it's truly America. Oh, for better or for worse. Marshall begins to walk away, saying, I understand. I won't ask for your help. But a voice calls out, wait. It's Caitlin, saying, I said that Team Plasma is free to express their beliefs, but there is one thing I can't ignore. They've taken hostages. We have to do something about that. See, there we go. I'm like, really, Caitlin? Oh, no. Last time we met, you wanted to get involved to some degree, especially if someone was up to no good. Marshall questions, you mean the captured gym leaders? But what can we do? Suddenly, Gothitelle appears behind Caitlin, while Marshall says, a Psychic-type Pokemon? Yeah, use the abilities to track them down. We then cut to a televised event where Drayden is saying, the 31 trainers here are the contestants in this year's Pokemon League. We will draw lots tomorrow morning to see which of them goes first in the tournament. I wish you good luck. And Chataro? Was that his name? Chertaro. You think after all this time I'd remember? Chimes in saying, those were the words of welcome from Mayor Drayden in front of the badge check gate. Now back to the studio. Arya turns down the volume on the TV as Fennel with, what was her name? Amanita says, it's finally begun. Arya says, that's right. Mayor Drayden seems all fired up. On the other hand, this guy is. And he looks to the next room, where Cedric and White are sitting with a still comatose Black. As the three enter the room, I see Galvantula by Black's bedside. Arya asks, how's he doing? White simply says he hasn't woken up yet. Cedric notes, it's no surprise. Pokemon he's been with since childhood just abandoned him at the drop of a hat. White notes, something like this happened before on Route 4, but this time seems different somehow. Black talks in his sleep, saying, Musha, Musha, in his dream. Next to a very weird spiral looking like tree. Black calls out, Musha, Musha, Musha. Is it true? Are you only interested in eating the dream in my head? As he chases after the white silhouette of his Muna, he says, was that the only reason you stuck with me? Was I nothing but a tasty snack to you? Did you leave me because I'm worthless to you? Now that I don't taste good? Wasn't our friendship more than that? Don't we understand each other? I thought there was a bond between us. The Black is pulled back to reality. As he starts to stir, he overhears the conversation with Fennel saying, I was surprised to hear about the Pokemon at your father's laboratory and how the three of them got separated after Team Plasma's attack. White questions, you said it happened a year ago. I met Gigi for the first time on a rainy day around a year ago. Maybe, Cedric says, your suspicion is probably correct. I could tell the moment I saw Gigi that your Tepig was one of the 3 Pokemon from my lab. He became a Pokedex holder after quite a few extraordinary events, so that's quite probable. No, I guess it was fate. You got that right. Arya then shivers, saying, and said Zoro transformed into a child to spy in my lab. Wonder if that's true. Maybe Fennel's lab was also under surveillance. Fennel recoils, saying, stop it. But Black frightens Arya, saying it's true. White calls out to Black in his Pokemon cheer. The Black says, I met Zoro in the form of a child at Castelia City, and then again in Driftvale Drawbridge. Zoro's mischief caused me a lot of trouble at the drawbridge. Come to think of it, maybe Zoro was behind that malfunction at Nimbus's gym roller coaster too. He pauses for a moment, and then he goes to put on his shoes, saying, so, as he grabs his things to leave, White says, where are you going, Black? As Black puts on his hat somberly, he says, back to Nivema Town. White questions, what? Why? You've come so far. Don't let N's words deceive you. I went through the same thing with him, so I know he can get under your skin. Believe in your dream. Believe in what you've been doing up till now. The Black tells her, my dream. I just saw a dream. I was standing on a grassy field. A strange spiral tree was there. I was desperately calling Musha to come back. That's the kind of dream I have now. Nightmare. Before that, I dreamed I was attacked by Tornadus, Thunderous, and Landorus. And before that, I dreamed I was being tricked by a fake Bryson. The Lightstone got stolen. After a brief pause, he says, the only dream I ever saw before I went on this journey was to win the Pokemon League. I was just a regular kid. The simple goal of winning the Pokemon League. But then Team Plasma came into the picture. Strange stone, legendary Pokemon. He looks at her with a strained look in his eyes and a bitter smile. Before I knew it, I got dragged into something way over my head. And to be honest, I don't understand what's going on. Oof. Oh, this kid. It's one of those times where it's just like, oh man, you feel like a child more now than ever. It's like the existential crisis that Red was going through back in Fire Red and Leaf Green. Just every bit of confidence he had before is completely shaken, as White can barely get out Black's name. Black exits saying, the pure dream that Musha likes to eat doesn't exist inside my head anymore. That's the truth. Just like N said, I only managed to collect 7 badges anyway, so I've got no choice but to go home. But then he notices it, the Pokemon League opening ceremony on TV. As he looks to the monitor, he says, and the opening ceremony was today? The contestants are entering the badge check gate. Oh, that's freaky. Little gates that kind of represent each gym leader? That's cool. Huh. See, now they're really playing it up because it's such a, more notable part of the Pokemon League. It is interesting to note that the league is a little bit different per what's the word I'm looking for? Per area, per region, and more than likely the league in previous regions we've seen has also evolved too. That's why I actually love the remakes. You can see how certain things have changed and evolved and developed in regions that used to be one way, but then go in another direction. Black says, I was hoping to go through those gates too. I was hoping to be there too. Black hears movement behind him, and he sees all of his Pokemon looking to the monitor as well, solemnly. Bitter looks on all their faces, tears welling up in some. Black takes a moment and says, you guys, it's not just Musha. I promised to win the Pokemon League with you as well, but White looks on solemnly. Black recalls all of his memories with all of his Pokemon. Brave, Bo, Tula, Costa, let's go, he says, much to the shock of all of them. Because he can see it. He said it before. Even though it was shaking a little bit, he said it before. It's like his dream is something that he shared with his Pokemon, and his Pokemon ended up sharing in that dream with him. It wasn't just some one-sided thing, and it's why it's just like, no, you can't trick me. I absolutely do not believe that Muna just ran off. There's something more to whatever happened with Muna. I don't know what it is, but I refuse to believe that Muna just left him. Maybe it sensed something or is gone to do something, but no. And Black, he couldn't convince his Pokemon to shout to the heavens with him about his dream if they didn't care. Yes, you can catch Pokemon in these balls and make them fight, or at least try to. But unless you are wildly abusive, your Pokemon won't listen to you if they don't want to. And it'd be pretty obvious if they didn't want to fight, at least to a certain degree. Alright, cut over to the Pokemon League with Drayden and his assistant, what was her name again? Kimmy. Suddenly they hear flapping. Oh, as Black arrives on his braviary, Drayden turns away saying, what is it, Black? Black says to him, I have a question for you about the gym badges. I've read the qualification requirements for the Pokemon League over and over, so I know them by heart. It says the contestant has to gather 8 badges to enter the tournament. Drayden says, yes, that's already started. As Black dismounts Braviary, he says, with an intense look in his eyes, right, but that was only the opening ceremony. The tournament isn't until tomorrow, which means the tournament hasn't exactly started yet. Drayden dismissively says, you're quibbling? But Black says, with real intensity, I know I'm quibbling, Drayden, but I want to challenge you to win your badge right here, right now. It's unfortunate we don't actually get to go to the Opelucid City gym, but Kimmy is shocked. Drayden turns with a bit of an interest, saying, okay, I wasn't sure where they were, but we pick up with Arua, Cedric, and White. Arua saying, what? Cedric questions, have you discovered the whereabouts of the kidnapped gym leaders? Marshall with Caitlin tells them, no, we don't know exactly where they are yet. Using Gothatel's psychic power, we managed to figure out that they're somewhere in the Unova region. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. But we're in the Unova region. Cedric says, like an antenna. Gothitelle managed to pick up a signal from the minds of the gym leaders. Caitlin says, yes, and we can talk to them now. Okay, she channels the gym leaders through her Gothitelle. She says, help us. Oh, I mean, again, yeah, no shit. Who knows what's happening to them? Of course their words are help us. Get us the F out of here. You don't really need a psychic for that. You need a psychic to find out where they're at. I'm probably being a little too critical of this. It's cool that Caitlyn's in the story and that she's managed to get such a handle on her abilities, but like, okay, I need like actual information here. He doesn't have his Muna on his team anymore. Dang. His Costa managed to make it to level 40, even though it was the weakest on his team. And in terms of White's team, okay, all of her Pokemon are almost fully over the 30 mark. The only one who hasn't really seen a lot of action is the Solus or Solosis, but her Volabee's still at 39. Okay, come on. Gotta get up to another level to catch up to the Costa. Okay, Black's gonna take on Drayden. Let's see how it goes. Alright, the Who's That Pokemon for this chapter is Duuz-Diz-Din. It's adventure number 52. All-way hijink. Oh, and we are right in the battle. Drayden sending out his Duuz-Diz-Din, while Black sends out his Braviary. Toughest against toughest. But while Braviary tries to lunge in, Duuz-Diz-Din manages to avoid, causing Braviary to slam into the ground. Duuz-Diz-Din grabs Braviary's leg and swings it into the wall. Braviary tries to send out an air slash attack, but Duuz-Diz-Din manages to avoid it. Kimmy watches in a bit of a panic, thinking to herself, oh my, Mayor Drayden had to start a battle in a corridor now, of all times? But Drayden then asks Kimmy, how long do I have? Kimmy looks at her tablet saying, the Ripple Wave Dancers show just started, so the opening ceremony will be over in about 15 minutes. Drayden calls out, you heard her, Black? As the host, I have to make another speech at the end of the opening ceremony, so that's all the time I have to battle you. Black calls out and flustered, I know, then thinks to himself, Drayden has made a special exception for me by accepting my challenge to win my 8th badge. I can't lose, but Drayden commands Duuz-Diz-Din to use Dragon Rage, and Black says, he tells Braviary to use Tailwind to defend against it. Black thinks to himself, I don't have much time, and even though the corridor is only for authorized personnel, someone might pass by at any moment. As for a one-on-one battle against him, so it would go quickly, but it's already been 30 minutes, dang, and I've gotten nowhere. Brave can't keep up with Duuz-Din's speed. Dismissively, Drayden says, you were all riled up when you came in to challenge me, but you're not prepared. The best you can do is hold out indefinitely. He then looks to Black with determination in his eyes. Your orders to your Pokemon are too slow. You're unsure of yourself. You seriously think you can defeat me like this? Black nervously says, guess there's no hiding the truth from you. You're right. I'm not at my best at the moment. Not at all. Because my longest partner just left me. I thought our hearts were one, but turns out there was no bond between us at all. That was the truth. And when I face the truth, I can't help having doubts about Brave too. I've known Brave as long as Musha. Drayden seems to look empathetically to Black's situation, but then he says, all your talk about truth this and truth that. Is this all because I asked you to become the truth of Unova? Black says, I can't help it, can I? I found out a truth I never wanted to know, but I still can't give up my dream of entering the Pokemon League. That's my truth too. So I held on to the last speck of hope inside me and came here. Maybe I'm not ready though. Drayden says, that's true. You aren't ready. It's out of the question. Finish him off, Duuz-Diz-Din. He asks Duuz-Diz-Din to use Rock Climb on Braviary, seemingly downing it and winding it right there and then. Drayden, as Black calls out to Braviary, Drayden knocks on Duuz-Din's head a little, saying Duuz-Din is a Dragon-type Pokemon, so it has a tough body to begin with, but the skin on its head is especially tough. It can run through narrow tunnels created by Excadrill, thanks to that tough skin, and narrow corridors like tunnels. This is the ideal environment for it to battle. No Pokemon can beat Duuz-Din's footwork in this hallway. That's why I chose to face you here, but I guess there was no need for such clever tactics against you. Black kneels down to Braviary, saying, I'm sorry, you helped me gather my courage to come down here, but I'm no match for Drayden in this state. But that's okay, isn't it? I came here. I didn't give up, says to its Pokemon. I didn't beat Drayden. I didn't enter the Pokemon League, but I'm still satisfied, because I did everything I could. But suddenly, Black hears a voice. You didn't make it to the Pokemon League and get satisfied? That's nothing but a waste of all the effort you put in. Hearing this voice, Black calls out, Clay? Suddenly, the dam's door slams open and a cold wind blows in. Kimmy says, I thought I locked the door. Drayden says, just hurry and close it. But as Kimmy goes to close it, she sees a figure on the other side. It's Caitlin. Caitlin enters with her Gothitelle. Black questions, Caitlin of the Elite Four. Drayden asks, what are you doing here? And Caitlin says, I need to talk to that boy over there. To Black. Black questions, you need to talk to me? Suddenly, Gothitelle lunges at him, grabbing his head. And Black sees a vision of all the gym leaders, including, I got it. What was his name? Again, Eleanor's husband. Pause. Clay said, what's that look of resignation, kid? Black says, Clay, Berg, Skylar, Elisa, Lenora, and Haas too. Kimmy asks, what are you doing? And Caitlin says, I'm using Gothitelle's psychic power to contact the captured gym leaders by catching their mind waves. Black says, I was so worried about you. Where are you being held? Caitlin says, unfortunately, they don't know. Black says, what? Berg says, for some reason, we don't have any memory of our journey to this place. Because you were unconscious. Lenore says it's pitch black and silent as a tomb here. Caitlin says they don't have a clue as to their whereabouts, but the gym leader said it was imperative that they talk to you, Black. Clay says, that's right, Black. Skull adds, we heard about your Muna leaving you. Clay says, sorry, we're the ones who got you involved in all this hardship and pain. Black says, no, this is my problem, Clay. I had to face this eventually. Even if N hadn't shoved the truth into my face. I wasn't listening to the voices of my Pokemon. I was forcing my agenda on them and kidding myself that we understood each other. Skyla says, do you really believe that? The reason you were able to beat me was because you opened up to your Pokemon and they understood how you felt. Berg asks, have you forgotten your battle against me? How your Pokemon evolved and won? You believed in your Tepig and took a chance on it. Clay adds, I saw that hard-headed Tortuga open up to you during that gym battle with my very eyes, you know? Lenora then adds, you told me winning the Pokemon League is a dream and goal we'll never let go of. When you battled me. Winning the Pokemon League was a dream for you, your Pokemon too. Black takes this in, as even Elise adds in, there's something you said that I'll never forget, that the relationship between a Pokemon trainer and their Pokemon is like one between a sports coach and their athletes. Coaches have a duty, and athletes have their different personalities and strengths. They're different, but they have a common goal, winning. An athlete will always want to play for a skillful coach. Your Pokemon will stay with you as long as you continue to be that good coach. Yeah, kind of like football. Oh god, Pokemon is like football. Or like basketball. You managed to come this far precisely because you have been listening to the voices of your Pokemon. The answer is already in front of you, with all the captured gym leaders sending all their positive vibes to Black. As Gothitelle lets them go, Black says, Brave, Air Slash. And Braviary uses that against Gerudogon, but Gerudogon dodges. Drayden says, simple attack. I can dodge it with my eyes closed. Black says, it wasn't meant to strike your Gerudogon. Drayden says, what? The door is bursted open, and cold air floods in. Gerudogon begins to shiver. Black says, now Brave. And Braviary, in that moment of hesitation, grabs Gerudogon's face and slams it into the wall, downing it instantly. Holy crap! What the hell? Kimmy says, the Gerudogon didn't have received so much as a scratch until now, but when did it receive a direct hit? Black says, the cold air from outside came blowing in, so his body temperature fell. He brings up the Pokedex entry saying, Gerudogon, the cave Pokemon, it warms his body by absorbing sunlight with its wings. When his body temperature fails, it can no longer move. Black says, my Brave is weak against cold too. It was a risky plan, but Bravery falls? Does it pass out? Well, Kimmy says, looks like Black is the winner. Drayden takes a moment and just yanks up Black, saying, come. Oh man. At the entrance to the Pokemon League, on live TV, with his hand on Black's shoulder, Drayden says, we have another trainer who just met the requirements to the Pokemon League. Meet our 32nd contestant, Black. And everyone back at the office watching, White, Juniper, all the Junipers, Fennel, say, what? They all go rushing out as Drayden says, The Pokemon League battle will officially begin tomorrow with these 32 contestants. I wish you all the best of luck. That concludes today's opening ceremony. With the legend badge in hand, Black's hand trembles. He looks to all the badges now on his jacket, saying, 8th badge. Now I can enter. He cheers with his Pokemon, saying, I made it into the Pokemon League. The narration then covers the Pokemon League, saying, the tournament begins the following morning. At the very bottom of Victory Road, fierce battles are fought in the cave and on the slopes of the mountain. As they climb their way up to the top, the 32 contestants drop out one by one, and the 32 contestants decreases to 16 contestants, and the 16 decrease to 8. Charitaro announces, we finally winnowed it down to our top 8. Looker in disguise. Oh, and these are our 8 final contestants. Looker in disguise, Black, Iris. That outfit is always so silly. What is it, Zinzalin? Pokemaniac? Pokemon cosplayer boy? Some person in a mask. Okay. Don't know who that could be, but whatever. Marlin? The gym leader? Huh. Weird. And Chirin. Oh, it's weird to finally see Chirin here, but in the league. Like, what? What have you been up to, dude? Okay. Alright, Black's Pokemon. Oh, okay, they've leveled up. Now up to level 57, his Braviary and Galvantula. Tortuga 41, Emboar 47. Let's see, White's Pokemon. Haven't really leveled up too much, but she hasn't really fought that much lately. Outside of the battle subway, it's just like she isn't really training her Pokemon that much now. Black has all 8 badges. Nice. Onto the Pokemon League. Oh, it's gonna be a heck of a finale. See how it goes. Alright, it's our first Pokemon League proper in so long. Like, not since Red, Blue, and Green. Yeah, and they were the only ones who actually mattered in the story arc for the league. Now we have a whole lineup, a whole friggin' tournament arc. Who's that Pokemon for this? Is Krogunk. Actually, I really like Krogunk. It's just its final evolution. I think I've already mentioned that, though. Like, Krogunk would be so cool if it just wasn't for how much I really don't care for the look of Toxicroak. It's adventure number 53. Into the quarterfinals, as the 8 finalists of the Pokemon League are shown off on a massive monitor, we see Bryson in a crowd, looking on thinking, so you've made it into the top 8, Black. For a moment there, I thought you'd given up because of all the challenges you had to face recently. But with the support of the gym leader, looks like you've pulled yourself together. Sadly, even though we were able to contact our captured friend, we were unable to pinpoint their location. Yeah, I don't understand why it's so hard to actually figure out where they're at. I mean, the weird thing about this series is that a lot of characters end up in situations where they're trapped for a weirdly long amount of time. And it's just like, okay, but how are you not hungry? How did you go to the bathroom? Bryson thinks, but. So I guess they was like a one group call? Because he recalls the words of Berg and Lenora. Berg saying, for some reason, we don't have any memory of our journey to this place. Lenora saying, it's pitch black and silent as a tomb here. Unless, are they sealed away inside Zekrom or something? Or something else? Bryson thinks that could be a clue. A pitch dark, silent place. Describing a soundproofed place with no light. On the other hand, they say they've lost their memories of their journey there. Will they somehow fade to forget? Bryson then says to his Cragnal, regardless, let's go. Cut back over to the Pokemon League with the final 8. Black turns to Iris saying, Iris, what a surprise. I had no idea you were competing in this too. Iris chuckles too. You know, I'd already finished collecting my 8 badges before I met you at the Tube-Line Bridge. Black says, wow. And what's even more surprising is seeing him here. Oh, yeah, Chirin. Iris says, a friend of yours? Black says, yeah, since we were little kids, that's Chirin. I didn't know he kept on collecting badges after Striaton's gym. Speaking of which, where the frick are the Striaton gym leaders? Why have they not been involved? What is going on? That keeps dawning on me. Like, where's Chili? Where's Crest? Where's Salon? What? It's just so weird that we're focusing so much on the gym leaders, and yet they're so far out of the picture. Black says he might have mentioned it to me. Black tries to call out, saying, "Hey, Chirin!" But Chertaro shoves him aside, saying, "All right, please return to your positions. All participants must enter their capsules now." Okay, so those decorative Pokeball-looking things behind them were capsules? Weird. And they are really all about the theatrics for this one. As the contestants enter the capsules, the Pokeball-like capsules, Chertaro announces, "In order to keep the battles fair, you are not allowed to leave your capsules until it's your turn." Oh, that feels like a setup for something bad to happen. "You may use the machine inside your capsule to heal your Pokemon." Oh, okay, that's convenient. Their capsules close. And Chertaro says, "It's the quarterfinals of the Pokemon League, and the upcoming battles are as follows. Iris versus Gray, Zinzalin, Leo versus Chirin, Marlin versus Hoodman, Lucar, versus Black." Alright, so I wonder who it's going to come down to. Because Black's definitely making it pretty far. But Iris versus Chirin. I mean, it's not really Iris's time yet, so, interested to see how this goes. Chertaro then says, "And now, before we start, meet the Elite Four. Grimsley, Chantal, Caitlin, and Marshall." The crowd cheers, but, with their 4 seats all off the, on the individual sides of the champion chair being very absent is very notable. The crowd says amongst themselves, "Champion isn't here." So it's true what they say. He was defeated by the king of Team Plasma. But suddenly Drayden comes over the intercom saying, "Silence, please. Only one challenger. The one who wins this tournament will earn the right to face the Elite Four. And if this challenger succeeds in defeating all 4 of them in a row, he or she will rise to become the #1 trainer in the Pokemon League. I know what you are all expecting me to say, that the challenger must defeat the Elite Four and the champion. Under normal circumstances, the challenger would indeed have to face 5 trainers, including Alder. But Alder is not present for reasons I cannot go into. Therefore, the one who defeats the Elite Four will become the new champion." Alder, Drayden mouth, take it away. The crowd cheers, and Black swallows hard. Marshall then calls out to Caitlin, questioning, "Caitlin, any news of the captured gym leaders?" Caitlin simply says, "Bryson has an idea. He's in search of the gym leaders as we speak." Marshall says, "Good. I hope to rescue them before Team Plasma launches an attack on this tournament." Yeah, see, it's funny how many times the Pokemon League is just straight up bait for the villain. It's just like, we know they're gonna attack. It's just a matter of when is it gonna happen. No way they wait till after the league. It's actually funny because, as far as I know, the only game where the league is actually interrupted by the evil team is Sword and Shield, I think? As far as I know. Because usually you take on the evil team before you take on the league. Well, the Elite Four. Chertaro then announces, "And now let the quarterfinals begin." The computer randomly chooses the order of battle, and the first battle will be Pokemon Trainer Lucar versus Pokemon Trainer Black. Is Caitlin gonna... Come on, she's gotta notice Looker. They gotta have some interaction. Chertaro announces, "This is a one-on-one battle using 3 Pokemon. But you must exchange your Pokemon before they faint. In other words, if even one of your Pokemon loses, it's an instant defeat for you." Yes, so they've kept that rule. Which, and if that was a rule in the game, well, then again, I do tend to exchange my Pokemon before they completely faint. But Black sends out Coventula, while Lucar sends out Krogan. Oh, right, because he doesn't come from this region, so everyone's just like, the fuck is that? I didn't even think about that. Everyone in the crowd is like, what is that? I've never seen that Pokemon before. Black even says, huh? Oh, Black doesn't have a national dex. As he thinks, my Pokedex doesn't even respond to it. But Chertaro should know what it is. She says, "I hear murmurings from the spectators. This Pokemon is unfamiliar to the residents of the Unova region, and this trainer named Lucario is a mysterious figure. All we know about him is that he's from a distant region. I'm sure the other challengers are eagerly awaiting this first battle as well. Croagunk smacks the taste out of Galvantula's mouth. Galvantula's a little bit on the defensive as Black calls out to it. Black then thinks to himself, that move, it's a fighting type move? I've thoroughly prepared for all my battles in the past, but I don't know one thing about this trainer or the Pokemon he brought to this tournament. On top of that, I don't even know what my opponent's Pokemon type is. Yeah, that can be a bit hard to deal with. I'll just have to figure it out while I'm fighting. He tells Galvantula to use Electro Web to surround him in a web of electricity. Black then thinks, that move it used just now, its posture and movements, it's likely going to strike me with a physical close combat attack. I'll have Tula guard itself using its web, and he asks Galvantula use Signal Beam. Oh, but it does nothing to Croagunk. Black thinks it's a direct hit, but it doesn't seem very effective. Guess bug-type moves aren't a good strategy. Iris thinks to herself in the capsule, Black's skills are impressive. He's gathering data while facing his opponent. At this rate, the fight he might find an effective way to defeat that Pokemon, but he could also be defeated long before that. You lose the moment even one of your Pokemon faints, you know? Be careful. Croagunk leaps in. Oh, spitting out poison needles, hitting Galvantula's claws to the ground. Iris thinks that Pokemon wasn't just about fighting type moves. Black says, Tula's been pinned to the ground and poisoned too. Lucario has Croagunk use Vacuum Wave, blowing off the Electro Web. Iris says, the net Black used to protect Tula has been pulled off. Tula can't move. Tula is a sitting target. As Croagunk just starts pummeling Galvantula, the poison spreading further and further. Black says the poison is spraying through Tula's body. It's starting to slow down. A Pokemon I've never seen before. Plus, it's both a poison type and a fighting type. If my only psychic type Pokemon, Musha, were here to help me figure this out. The Black grits his teeth, smacks his head, saying, I have to snap out of this. I've made it to the top 8. I'm only a step away from fulfilling my dream. I have to figure out a way to turn this battle around. So it probably only has enough strength left to attack one more time. What should I do? But Black then seems to realize something. Oh, the Electro Web that was blown up into the air. Black says that's it. He calls out to Galvantula, and Galvantula turns to where Black is looking and seems to pick up what he's putting down. Galvantula fires out a string to grab the Electro Web. Much to the shock of both Iris and Looker, Galvantula reels in the web into Croagunk's blind spot, managing to capture it. And once the web is firmly on it, Croagunk gets the bejesus shocked out of it. Croagunk staggers, still electrified, and staggers right into Looker, and he also gets electrified. Chertaro says Croagunk has been defeated. The winner is Black. What a comeback! Black grabs Galvantula's hand, saying, he did it, Tula. Chertaro says his Galvantula was on the verge of losing, but it managed to defeat this formidable opponent at the very last moment. Okay, I wasn't sure who he's talking to. Chertaro says, and the loser is Lucario. He vanished. We then see Lucario watching from the top of the stands, his disguise now off, saying, International Police Equipment number 13. Unbelievable disguise. Set. I managed to sneak into the Pokemon tournament without anyone discovering I'm an international police officer from the distant Sinnoh region. Oh, he's got a cross transceiver too. It starts to ring, and he says, it's from the International Police Headquarters. He answers saying, yes, I successfully infiltrated the tournament grounds. Oh, saw the TV broadcast. What? You can tell it was me? It was obvious. Well, I'll be extra cautious next time then. Yes, I found someone who, like me, is concealing their true identity. I think it's safe to assume it's who we're looking for. Yes, I will continue my investigation. Looker, over and out. Okay, so who is it? Masked Man or Zinzalin? I'm sorry, Gray. Oh, okay, it's Zinzalin. Then it's probably the Masked Man. Looker uses his extendo glasses. International Police Equipment number 1. Excellent scope. He looks to Gray. Suspicious looking. He looks to the little kid. Suspicious looking. He looks to Masked Man saying suspicious looking. Especially Gray. My police instinct tells me he is the most suspicious one of all. You won't escape me, seven sages, he says, putting his police cap on his Krogan. Okay, so he's really after specifically the seven sages. Makes sense. He was after Team Plasma to begin with. Wonder who the masked man is, though. But man, once again, Black's Pokemon have leveled up quite a bit. And yet, Braviary always remains at the top. It's like neck and neck with Galvantula. But despite the fact that it makes sense for Galvantula to level up, but then again, maybe Braviary leveled up because of that fight with Drayden. It's just funny how big the gap between Emboar and Braviary continues to be. And again, White hasn't really had a chance to, fight. So, alright, on to the next one. Alright, and the last chapter of this video is, and the who's that Pokemon for it is, Deanna. It's adventure number 54. The tournament continues. As if you didn't know. We see the remaining fighters. Masked Man, Marlin, Sheeran, what's the kid's name? Leo, Gray, freaking look like Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and Iris. The announcer says, and now for the Pokemon League's second bout, Sheeran versus Leo. Sheeran commands his Unpheasant to use Feather Dance, while Leo commands his Deanna, watch out for all those feathers around you. But, Deanna isn't really able to do that as the feathers stick to it. Chertaro says, Leo's Deanna didn't avoid the feathers like his trainer told him to. He's covered in them. Leo tells his Deanna to use Bite, and it gnaws at Unpheasant's leg. Chertaro says, it's slowing down because all the feathers on its body, and its strike has no effect on Unpheasant since his attack power has been reduced. Unpheasant takes off into the air, and Sheeran, adjusting his glasses, says, Sky Attack. Unpheasant does just that, ramming down on Deanna. Black says he did it, and Chertaro declares, and he did it! Deanna has fainted. The winner is Sheeran. He made it into the top 4. Okay, something's obviously going on with Sheeran. Don't tell me he's been influenced by Team Plasma and some, just for that last minute bit of drama. Yeah, this is the moment where we know something's going on. Leo comes over, picking up his Deanna, saying, you're really powerful. You might know this already, but Deanna can't see, so it has a lot of trouble fighting in conditions like that. I managed to work my way up the ladder using desperate tactics like tackle, bite, and whatnot, so the thought of using Power Herb to speed up Sky Attack never came to mind. Oh well. You gotta work harder too, huh? And he notices Sheeran just walking away in the middle of them talking. See, that really shows off that something's off with Sheeran, because the last time we saw him, even before that, after Bianca was attacked, we saw that Sheeran has a tendency to kind of, take moments for the little people. He's not really one to dismiss people like that. So something's really wrong here. And even Black sees this and thinks to himself, what's wrong with Sheeran? It was a good battle and the loser was a good sport. But Sheeran totally ignored his opponent afterward. Sheeran is always so polite and nice. What's the matter with him today? Yeah, exactly. Sheeran enters his pod. As it moves him up, Zinsolin says, very impressive. The coldness of your heart is admirable, cheater. Good work. Zinsolin, you did something. What? Coldness. Coolness, coldness. That is the essence of life. Ooh, cold. So cold. So cold. What is going on with this dude? Did he influence Sheeran somehow? And he was the one that Sheeran met in cold storage, right? Looker is spying and listening in on Zinsolin, and he's definitely getting creeped out, saying, now that guy looks suspicious. It's odd, he's wearing warm fleece clothing. Nevertheless, he appears to be cold, and even though he's shivering, he seems to be enjoying it. How disconcerting. He's registered in the tournament as Gray. Gray. That's a color, isn't it? Gray, a blend of black and white. Even his name sounds suspicious. He ends up being the Gray. No, take it away. Or rather, we have a completely original character be named Gray, if that's going to be the case. Chertaro announces, and now for the third battle. Looker looks in. As Chertaro says, the contestants are Hoodman versus a fellow who makes an even bigger splash than the sea itself, Marlin. Marlin says, you look tough. Shoot, let's start. He reaches into his neck, grabbing one of his Pokeballs, while the hooded man, not opening his cloak, just poof, as a Pokeball. That's weird. That's weird, dude. Okay, who is this guy? Well, Chair Taro announces, battle start. Oh, is that a Jellicent? Yeah, Jellicent. And the hooded man sends out BHM. Marlin says, I grew up in the sea. I spent more time in the water with my Pokemon than on land, and I faced many Pokemon in the roaring waves. I came to the Pokemon League to test the skills I acquired from all those battles. Jellicent, Scald. That's Jellicent sends out a stream of steam and water. It douses BEM. Marlin says, how do you like that? Your Pokemon got burned. Goodman says, that's okay. It can restore itself from the damage it received with Recover. Now use Calm Mind and Energy Ball. BEM sends out an Energy Ball into Jellicent. Oh, okay. I thought it was completely taken out, but it was just knocked down. Chertaro says, it's a direct hit. Marlin cheers. You got me, oh my. You've got this trainer thing down. You don't just look strong. You're strong for real. You swept me away. Wow, what an exciting battle. I thought that was an ordinary Psychic-type Pokemon, but it uses Grass-type moves too, huh? But my Jellicent can use Recover as well. Time to strike back. Jellicent recovers and grabs BEM. Marlin says, let's see who the tougher and stronger Pokemon is now. My Jellicent's ability is Cursed Body. You can't use your favorite energy ball now anymore. But one of the lights on BEM's hand glows. Something moves on it. But because of Jellicent's large size, you can't really make it out. All Marlin sees is Jellicent being struck. Oh, by an energy ball a shadow ball. It manipulated the shadows. Chertaro says, Shadow Ball. The battle is over. Marlin's Jellicent has fainted. BEM wins. Marlin is aghast. I actually didn't think Marlin would lose. Oh, snap. Okay. So this masked man is definitely someone important. The third person to make it to the semifinals is Hoodman. Yeah, not masked man, Hoodman. Marlin says, you totally rocked that. You're raising some wicked strong Pokemon. That was a great battle. Thanks. Masked man says, no need to thank me. I benefited from our match as well. By entering the Pokemon League, I got the opportunity to observe the skills of powerful trainers up close. Skilled Pokemon trainers are a sight to behold. They are deeply connected to my field of research, making these battles extremely fruitful for me. That's not Getsus. Obsessed with research? Colress? That's the only person I could think of who'd be talking about, like, research. It would be Colress. He's the only person who I could think of who, in terms of Black and White, or Black 2 and White 2, he's all about research. I mostly only know him because of Sun and Moon initially. I would have thought he would have been associated with... Oh, I'll get into that as it goes. But Colress is the only person I could think of this masked man being with that kind of mindset. Chertaro then says, oh no, it's Iris in her pod saying, we all got a bunch of Pokemon with us, but our matches are basically ending up as one-on-one battles because that rule that you lose the second even one of your Pokemon faint. But I'm not going to let anyone beat me with just one strike. As Iris pops up her pod, Chertaro announces, and now for the last battle of the quarterfinals. This skillful girl is favored to win this tournament. Iris, the girl who knows the hearts of dragons. Black says, it's your turn. Iris, good luck. See, now they have such a positive relationship. Iris even waves to him. That's cute. As Chertaro announces, and her opponent is Gray. Iris says, hello. And Looker, who's intensely looking at Gray, swallows hard. Iris sends out Fracture, while Gray sends out Triagonal. As Chertaro announces, battle start! Iris says, Triagonal, an Ice-type Pokemon. My Fracture is at a disadvantage because it's a Dragon-type, but I know all about Dragon-type Pokemon, from nose to tail. I'm gonna win this battle. and I'm gonna face black now that he's made it into the top 4. But Cragnell's ice chain wraps around Fracture's neck, well, actually binds it entirely, and it tosses it to the ground. Seriously, man, Cragnell been getting some mad props in all of this. It's actually making me sad that I sent it to the PC when I caught one. This Cragnell's been just putting in the work, from Bryson's to now Zinzalin's. Chertaro announces, Iris is giving Gray some strong resistance, but their fracture has been effortlessly captured by Cragnell's chain. Oh, and a freeze effect is starting to come over Fracture too. Dang, come on, Iris. And it'd be great to see more of your Pokemon, but don't lose to this chump. Iris says, I watched Black train at the two-blind bridge, so I thought I was prepared, but Gray says, now that you're experiencing it for yourself, you're realizing that this is too much for a Dragon-type Pokemon. Am I right? Chertaro announces, this match looks very one-sided. I can see it clearly from where I'm standing. Fracture is curling up into itself from the freezing chill emanating from that chain. Will this be as short as the others before it? Iris calls out, you can do it, Fracture. We can't lose this round. You have to remember, there's a reason we have to keep winning. Yeah, kind of ignite that fiery passion within Fracture. But Gray starts to heat up as he says, how irritating. You're so annoying. I can tell you're passionate about winning, but it's absurd for you to imagine that passion alone will win this battle. But Iris dismisses him, saying, passion alone? You haven't noticed, have you? Gray says, huh? Oh, Fracture used his little, tusk whatevers to cut through the chain. Nice. Chertaro says, what? It appears that Fracture was curling up due to the chill, but in actuality, it was concealing its efforts to cut through the chain. Iris says, we honed its tusks really well today, so they're extra sharp. Fracture takes Cragnell by the chain and tosses it. Oh, snap! A seismic toss. You go in the ground. Iris says, let's use the rubble in the air too, and has Fracture use Rock Tomb. As Grace starts to say ice, Iris says, too slow, Rock Smash! And Fracture just slams into Cragnell again. Good stuff, Iris. Don't lose to this chump. Chertaro says, she turned the bell around. Iris is the winner. Black says, yeah. As Iris says, I told you, didn't I? I know everything there is to know about Dragon-type Pokemon. And I mean everything, including their weaknesses, as well as their strengths. So I came prepared with countermeasures. See you around, she says, running off as Gray just grows angry, saying, as he walks away in a huff. Masked Man thinks to himself, he lost. That means he never had what it takes to begin with. Okay. But we see another figure watching from the crowd. Oh, it's Bryson. How did he... Wait a minute. Don't tell me the gym leaders are buried somewhere underneath the league. That would be messed up if they were literally right under their noses. Bryson says the gym leaders couldn't remember how they got to the place where they are being held against their will. That sounds odd to me. This is just crazy conjecture, but is it possible their memories have been somehow overwritten rather than removed? There is a Pokemon who has the power to do such a thing. BEM, the cerebral Pokemon. And there happens to be a mysterious trainer among the Pokemon League contestants who uses a BEM. Mere coincidence? Overactive imagination? Some with a Pokedex who... there's only one other Pokemon person with a Pokedex, brings up the entry saying, I think not. It's worth investigating. As the readout on BEM reads, BEM, the cerebral Pokemon. It uses psychic power to control an opponent's brain and tamper with its memories. Bryson turns to the Pokedex holder saying, will you help me investigate further, White? White says, of course. I had to come back into play in this story somehow. Okay. That's what's up. The girl is on the case. I was kind of hoping that they teamed up with Looker or something, but he's not really trying to put himself too far out there right now. I wish he had some contact within, the Unova region. Again, Caitlin. Hello, Caitlin. Hook up with Caitlin. You worked together before. Do it. Fun and engaging are the words that I would use. That's the thing. When the Pokemon League begins, that's when you know the fun is about to start. Whether we're actually involved in the league or it's just that mad dash to it. Because of the way everything is set up, you know how much time you have left until you reach the conclusion. Going through the various matchups, getting to see the potentials, having mysterious characters enter. Tournaments are always fun. It's the reason why Dragon Ball was able to grow to so much popularity. Tournament talks! The Dark Tournament in Yu Yu Hakusho. The tournaments in Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments are always fun. And Black's fight against Drayden, desperate as it was pretty fun. That still felt like more of a draw, but I'll take it. I mean, at least I got to see the fight. I've complained in the past that we seem to yada yada over the final gym battle so often, and that was kind of getting annoying. It's like, okay, time to face the final gym leader, and then we skip over it. It's like, no, show me the fight! Do something cool with it! And while I wouldn't say that the fight against Drayden was the most intense, Black still had to be clever to get around it, and it was mostly just the time limit he was under. That's what made it kind of stressful. But it always kind of felt like Black was overlooking. It's just like, oh, I can't get into the Pokemon League. It's like, yeah, you can. Just take out the remaining 2 gym leaders before the thing starts. That was always my mindset. It's just like, at some point he's gonna realize, just beat them. Just beat Drayden before the end. Why do you need to go off and find some interesting Pokemon? Beat Drayden before it starts. That's all you gotta do. You're the lucky one. You got all the other gym badges before anything else popped off. I'm still wondering, where are the friggin' Striaton City gym leaders? What are they doing? While Bryson is openly investigating, are they investigating in the shadows? Are they finding some other way? Have they infiltrated Team Plasma? I swear to God, they better pop up before the story ends, because the longer we go without seeing what they're up to, the more my anticipation grows. And if nothing is done with them, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. No, not allowed. You have to do something with them. And my constant thought is also that it's just people keep saying, oh no, Team Plasma is good, yada yada yada. They kidnapped the gym leaders. But then I also had to think of the fact that the Shadow Triad, they don't look like traditional Team Plasma members. They mostly take up a lot of the attention, and a lot of members of Team Plasma, I think, are just ordinary people, and they always seem to get away at the last minute. So, Plasma covers a lot of its bases. In a world where cameras exist, it shouldn't be that simple, but still. But even if someone took a picture, there'd be immediate oh, we just have some overzealous members, yada yada yada. But I want to see Looker involved a little bit more, especially with their characters. We also seem to be setting up someone else, someone who was just oh, do you want me to go and investigate? And I can only think of one person who that is because of what I know involving the next story arc. So interested to see how that character comes into play. But the face-offs have been fun. The Masked Man, I think it's probably Colress. That's the only person I can think of because they talked about research. I'm also very interested in what happened to Sharon, because Zinzalin is already out, but is he like a sleeper agent? Has he been influenced, brainwashed? What did they do to him? And I figured at least Bianca would be attending as well as the professors. But I'm glad that White is getting involved and, gonna be helping out Bryson and all that. But I can't wait to find out where they're hiding the gym leaders. Where could they be? Is it in plain sight? Or is it just in a very odd location? Well, we'll find out eventually. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I hope to see you in the next one. So then, take care. Bye-bye.